Hi guys, I hope you've all been keeping well. Myself too, and I think I look so chubby. Do you guys think that? And I think I've gained so much water weight because of eating chicken during this whatever quarantine period or whatever. So I hope you guys are well and are keeping safe. And I know that in the world right now we are going through a serious pandemic, and this got me to thinking of the many times from my early childhood that I escaped what could have been a tragedy. And I am sure most of you have also just so many stories to tell. Most of you, if it were not just for the hand of God, you would not be alive today. Like, just come to think of it, when I was in primary school, in standard one, I was studying in a school called SOS. It was one of the best primary schools in Eldoret, Kenya at that time. And one time it was like a sports day, and at the end of the day, I don't know, somehow, I don't know why, one guy hit me with a stone. One little boy, I never forgotten his name. He was called Steven, and the stone missed my eye like just by half an inch. You can't see the scar. I don't even know which side of the eye it is, whether it is the left or the right, but I could have lost an eye that day, but I didn't. And I was bleeding so much, and I remember almost the whole school coming after me, and the kids like, hiya, 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 and this guy Steve was freaking out. I don't even remember what was done to him, but I know I did not have to go to the hospital for that. I was just given first aid, and that healed. Okay, and then the next time, I think I have a scar. This one is still very visible. So I have this scar right here, and this one I also got it when I was in primary school. I used to be very, very playful. So I was in lower primary, and we were supposed to finish school, or to finish the day by around 4 p.m. But we used to like staying behind, my friends and I, to play until at around 6:37. Then we would walk home because home was not very far at that time. And it so happened that we were playing this game called Kati. All the Kenyans that were alive in the early 90s, yeah, they know that game. So I mean, like there would be so many players in the middle, and then one person would stand on the opposite, on one side, and then the other one on the opposite side, and they would throw the ball at each other and then try to hit these guys in the middle until there was no one left standing. So as I tried to dodge the ball one day, and we were playing between poles for the fence, and they were like this sharp, sharp, or like not really sharp edgy, but the edges were sort of pointed like this. And once I tried to escape the ball, I hit my head right there, pang, here, and it just like almost burst open or something. Like you could see the flesh, the white flesh. It left a very deep cut. And I was so scared to go home on that day because my mother used to be a chief disciplinarian. We would get spanked for doing something stupid like that. Yeah, like I was supposed to be at home right now then, and then I stayed back at school playing because my elder sisters were in upper primary, and for them, they were at the right place. So we went to the tap, like all the people. The game had to stop because everyone was freaking out. Blood was coming out, like was jetting out like this. It was oozing out, and so we went to the tap, and I tried to clean the blood as much as I could, and I thought that with that I would escape and my mom would not notice what had happened. So I had to come up with a backup story because I didn't want to to tell the stupid story of, oh, we were playing when we were actually supposed to be home. So I just went back home, and of course I had my backup story with me. And once we were living in this very good neighborhood, and so we had this big house, and there was the kitchen so I had to go through the kitchen door, not the main door, because I knew that my mom was seated in the living room, and if I had used the main door, then she would have seen me. So I used the back door, the kitchen door, and the maid was in the kitchen, like preparing dinner. So I walked past her and I just said, "Hi, Nelly." And she was like, "Hi," and because I was hiding the wound like this, and she said, "Oh, why are you hiding? What are you hiding? What happened to you?" And I was like, "Nothing." So I walked into the bathroom and I went to look at myself in the mirror, and I didn't know that she followed me very stealthily, and she totally freaked out, like, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" And my mom also just freaked out, like, what is going on?" And when my mom looked at me, you know, the cut was very deep, you know, you could see the bone, the skull right here. So of course I told the story that as we were coming back home, there was this guy, because there used to be one madman called Owiti who would chase after us when we were going back home. Like on those sides we used to live, three of us in that big compound. We used to live, there were 3 houses, and we were all, like, at least one kid from those houses were in the same class with me, so we would go home together. And so I told my mom that myself, Yvonne, and Julie was the sister to Yvonne. So as we were coming back home, Owiti was chasing after us, and I fell and hit my head on a stone, and that is how I got the cut. So my mom quickly held my hand. I didn't even get to change, like to take off the uniform. Took me to to Yvonne's mom, because she used to be a nurse, and she looked at me and said, "That cut is very deep, it needs to be stitched." So my mom took me to the hospital, and I was stitched. I didn't cry. I remember I didn't cry, and my mom said, "Oh wow." Not my mom, actually. Then I said, "Oh, you have a very high threshold for pain. You would actually give birth to twins," which I'm hoping will happen one day. So that is something that happened, and yeah, I escaped. And of course, not necessarily I escaped, but the sky is still a reminder of a stupid choice that I made when I was very young. And so the following day, of course, we went to school, and my sisters got to learn the truth of what happened. And during those days, we used to get like to not, like, we were not fond of each other, like as sisters, and every opportunity we had to bring one of us down, we would literally go for it. And so my sisters learned the truth, and they were like, "Yeah, we are going to tell on you." And so in the evening, when I came back from school, my sister was asked to clean me up. So when you go to the bathroom, she was like, "You clean yourself up or I will tell." So of course I cleaned myself up, and the wound eventually healed. I think after a week, the stitches were removed, and I was good to go. So that was another memory. And another one, this one, I was very young. This is the third one. I was very young. I was in nursery school, and we used to be, like, I used to go to a school called Testimony Nursery School. It was a very good school, one of the best schools in Eldoret, Kenya at that time. And the school van would drop us at lunch hour. It would drop us somewhere around Mahindi Hotel, somewhere there. And then my dad would pick me up from there and take me to Eldoret prisons, where we used to have a shop. So on that particular day, somehow my dad went and picked my brother and sister from school and forgot to pick me up. So I was standing there, very tiny kid in nursery school. I couldn't see anyone, and time was going by. And when it got to around maybe 2 p.m., I was like, I have to get myself home. And my dad couldn't remember that he hadn't picked me up. And as tiny as I was, I crossed the road, and I could have been run down by a car, but I didn't. I crossed the road and I walked, and it was really far from the place where I used to stop, like where we used to stop, and the place where our shop was. It was really a distance. It was a walking distance, but let's say more than 20 minutes. So I walked like very quickly. I followed some 2 men, just walking very quickly behind them. and they didn't notice, and nobody stopped to ask me like, why are you walking alone, where is your mom? Nothing. I just walked very quickly behind them, but just making sure I'm keeping a safe distance. And the way through to the shortcut to the shop used to be through a graveyard. Imagine. And I went through the graveyard, and we used to be very scared of that place because we used to be, very aware of, or maybe ghosts. We would think that maybe somebody would walk, like just rise out of the grave or something and come after you. But on that day, I made it home. So when I got home, I made it to the shop at Eldoret Prisons, and my mom was like, "Where are you coming from?" And it's like, Daddy did not pick me up, so I decided to find my way to the shop. And you see, I could have been kidnapped, I could have been raped, anything could have happened, but I did. I escaped, and yeah. So there are so many times that really, I don't know, maybe angels were just on guard that we couldn't see. And I know that even the tragedy that we are going through right now, the pandemic, this too shall pass. So number 4, one time, because we used to like my dad used to like taking us to the showground, Eldoret showground, because anyway, yeah, I grew up in Eldoret, Kenya. It was a very fancy town during those times, and I think it still is. So we used to never miss the shows. So one time when I was very young, I think I hadn't started school because I couldn't talk very well. I could talk, maybe I was around 3 years old or something, and we went to the showground, and my mom at that time, she had 5 kids, and I was the second last born at that time, or maybe last, I don't know. I think I was the second last. And where you have so many people at the show, so many things to see, and I used to be very absent-minded and just concentrate on what I was looking at and not what was around me. And one time I looked up and I couldn't see my mom or my family. They had all gone and left me behind, and I was so freaked out. And I tried to look for them. I couldn't find them. And I remember one lady in high school found me and took me to what we used to call the arena. And so and then there was this big announcement at the end of the day, like, there is a child here that is lost, because they asked me, what is your mother's name? And I said, Mommy. And what is your daddy's name? And I said, Daddy. I think I was very young. And yeah, of course, there was an announcement on the loudspeaker, and that is how my mom came back and came and found me. Of course, she was looking for me, and she was so freaked out at that time, and it was not like the era of mobile phones, or even if she had a mobile phone, then would it be of so much help? But she found me. And I remember after that, my sisters used to tease me that actually my real mom, okay, no, this is the first time. Then the second time again, we go to the show. The second time again, we go to the show, same thing happens. At that time, I was a little bit older. Same thing happens. I get lost. So the first time I was found by a high school lady. The second time I was found by one police woman. And same thing. The arena, there's a kid that is lost, and then my mom found me. So from that time, my sisters used to tease me that my actual mom was actually the police lady that found me at the show. And you can imagine from that time, my dad stopped taking us to the show, because he was like, the next time maybe I would get lost and I would never be found. Or he said that maybe the next time he would use a rope, and we would all walk in between the rope so that none of us gets lost. I used to be the one to get lost. I don't know why, but because of me, we stopped going to the showground. From that time, we never went again to the showground. Still, I'm alive today, so yeah, that's a testimony. And then another thing, number 5, at the showground again, something crazy that I did that day that I got lost actually. There were so many, those times the showground used to be very, very, there was so much fun. You eat cotton candy, ice cream, there was so much to see, there was face painting. So you know, on this merry-go-round, as it was, I think you were to sit in the, you know, the ducks and stuff like that. So as I was sitting on those ducks, as the merry-go-round was going round and round, and I was getting like lightheaded and agitated, and I started to scream, and my mom was down and up, but I was being like our nanny was holding me. I was not like seated alone. But I was so freaked out as that thing was moving around. Every time I got close to where my mom was, I wanted to jump. I wanted to just jump and go to my mom, because I was so freaked out. And if I had managed to do that, of course, you know what would have happened. But somehow I did. So yeah. So yeah, that also passed. So another time, again, like this now is number 6. I forgot to say that we were not supposed to go to school the following day, and I was again in nursery school, testimony nursery school, and we was living in a place called Kahoya, and so that was in the morning. My dad would drop me at in front of Nakuru mattress. Like all the kids that were going to testimony nursery school would be dropped at that place, and then our school van would pick us up from there and take us to school, and then lunchtime they would drop us at Mahindi Hotel, in front of Mahindi Hotel. So this particular day, I don't know if I was given a note or it was verbal, but I forgot to say, or I didn't even know that I was supposed to say that we are not supposed to go to school the following day. So as usual, I was prepared, ready for school, and as my dad was going to work, he dropped me at Nakuru mattresses, in front of Nakuru mattresses, and left. And I stood there, and 1 hour later, nobody's coming. 2 hours later, nobody's coming, and I was asking myself, okay, how comes nobody is going to school today? Is it that I was left and I missed the bus? Or so as I was walking like inside the supermarket, and it used to be owned by one Indian, and somehow they figured out that I was not supposed to go to school on that day because nobody showed up. And of course, it was not the era of mobile phones where you could call somebody's parent and say like, come pick your kid up. So I don't know how, but I managed to make it, like to find my way home. That like the Muhindi put me in his car and drove me home. I don't know how, but somehow I think I was good with finding the way, or I knew the way home, even though it was again very far from where I was. I directed him, and he took me home, and again I was safe. Anyway, anyone could have kidnapped me, but I think those times we had less perverts than we have this day and age, and I think also kids these days are just way much smarter than we were at that time, I think. So yeah, that also happened, and I got home safe. And I think from that time I was really told to always remember to tell if I was not supposed to go to school, and it never happened again. That was just a one-time mistake. And then the last one, this is now the last one. When you were a little bit older, at that time, my mom was still like running the shop in Eldoret, at Eldoret prisons. So we were staying in different like towns from my mom. So the kids were staying with my dad in Miwani, because he used to work at Miwani Sugar Company. So we were staying with my dad, and my uncle was the one that used to take care of us, like making sure we eat and stuff like that. But we used to have a maid or a nanny. So one time, I don't remember what happened or why my uncle really freaked out, and he threatened to kill us. He threatened to kill us at night, and we were so freaked out, like, okay, what are we going to do? We were planning like we would lock all the doors and not let him in. I don't remember what we did that really pissed him off. I don't remember, or because he was just high on something. But that day, out of the blues, my mom showed up. My mom showed up from Eldoret, and the next day we moved out of that house to a different house. That house used to be like a haunted mansion. It used to be very big house, a very big house with a ridiculously big living room that was downstairs, and then the rest of the rooms were upstairs, and then it was just a very weird house. But my mom showed up, and of course we did not get killed, and then the following day we moved out of that house. So guys, yeah, this was just to take your mind off things, of all the negativity that is going on in the world right now. We don't even know what is going on in the world right now, but I'm just telling you everything is going to be okay, and I hope and pray that you all will be safe, and your loved ones too, when this is all over. So stay safe, and of course remember to subscribe to this channel if you haven't. And I hope this has been fun, and if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a very big thumbs up, share, and yeah, I'll see you in another video. So bye.